Okay, so I'm going to teach you a little bit about Midwestern culture in the United States. So, to start, I'd like to just define where exactly are the Midwestern states, or what part of the US is actually considered the Midwest. So, the picture on the left here just kind of shows you where the Midwest is. And I really like the picture on the right because it shows you what states the Midwest, what's considered the Midwest. So those states are North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. So it's kind of the middle of the United States, but also like the northern part of the US as well. So, a little bit of history about the Midwest. So, the Northwest Midwest Territory entered the United States in 1783, so a really long time ago, right after the end of the American Revolution. And it was primarily agricultural land. And it still is primarily agricultural land and where we get a lot of our food. So after the American Civil War, the Midwestern states really developed, drastically developed. And you can see there's all these town cars over here. You can see it on the left. That's actually Chicago in the 1890s. So Chicago is a city in Illinois. It's one of our very popular cities, kind of like New York City. Chicago is on par with that. And by 1890, Chicago is actually the second largest city in the United States. And today, as the Midwest has developed, it's a big mixture of urban, progressive people and people who live in cities, as well as rural conservatives. So, a little bit about Midwestern characteristics and culture. So, the Midwestern states have a reputation for being very, very friendly people. They're very genuine. They smile and wave at their neighbors. There's usually an increased reliance on your neighbors just because the weather can be very unpredictable. So we actually have tornadoes and hurricanes and just really big storms that happen in the Midwest. Big snowstorms will come in through the Midwest very often. So it's much nicer to be able to rely on your neighbors. So friendliness goes a really long way. There's a lot of wide open spaces and no joke, so many cornfields. So many cornfields. Um, and the land is actually a lot cheaper than many other places in the United States. So usually the Midwest is much cheaper than places like New York or over on the West Coast, like Los Angeles and California, Oregon, things like that. Another very funny sort of cultural aspect of people in the Midwest that I'd like to mention is the Midwestern goodbye. So a lot of the time people will say, I gotta go, if you're hanging out with a group of people, gotta go to bed, have to head out for the night, and they continue to talk for another, at minimum, 30 to 45 minutes, making small talk and saying goodbye. So those are all very Midwestern, just characteristics about Midwestern people. And I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about the American Midwest.